Hello everyone, today is 15th of November, Friday, so I hope you will have a wonderful day and a great upcoming weekend. Now it's 15 past 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Later on today, towards the evening, most likely I will publish a second news update with all the additional main news that Russian media will report about. On my Patreon and boosting pages, and if you're by chance looking for more news from Russia, more commentary, you're more than welcome to join our communities on Patreon and Boosty. That will be great support of this project. Links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. That's being said, let's talk about some news now, and I will skip battle map for now. And first, this news from TASS news agency that during the nighttime, Russian air defense systems on duty intercepted 51 drones that were launched by Kiev regime to strike deep inside the Russian territory with assistance of NATO member states, of course. First of all, US and UK. At this point, TASS news agency is not reporting about any possible casualties on the ground or more or less significant damage. If any update on that, of course, I will share additional news on my Telegram channel and the next updates. From these 51 drones, 36 drones were intercepted over the Krasnodar region. So this area of the southern Russia was a main target of Kiev regime and NATO during this strike. Also 3 drones were intercepted over the Crimea, 2 drones over the Belgorod region, and 10 drones over the aquatory of the Azov Sea. Also, we have this report from Vzгляд newspaper that Russian Defense Ministry is confirming progress of the Russian armed forces in Voznesenka area, and this settlement is now under full Russian control, according to Russian Defense Ministry. And this is, of course, Pokrovsk sector, DPR, and this is Voznesenka, by the way. This relatively small settlement. We can zoom in, by the way, it's just like a couple of streets, but of course it has a significant meaning right now while battles are taking place in this area of the Pokrovsk sector, southern flank of Pokrovsk sector. And also additional news, dear friends, Russian Defense Ministry, I believe, also confirmed that Russian armed forces established full control over the Zabalka settlement. At least many sources in the Russian segment of internet are reporting about full control over the Zabalka district by Russian troops in Toretsk settlement. Let's continue with some more news, and next is this information from RIA Novosti that Russian armed forces are further improving their foothold in Kupyansk city itself. And Kupyansk is, of course, Kharkov region. And let me show you, by the way, Russian armed forces lately were quite active in Kupyansk sector of the front line. Also, especially on southern flanks of Kupyansk, I reported about significant progress of the Russian troops in this area. And now we are receiving reports that Russian troops managed to get inside the Kupyansk city itself from northern eastern side, and approximately this part now on our northern eastern outskirts of the city is under full Russian control. And I guess in relatively short time we will see increase in Russian activities, Russian military activities when it comes to liberation of the Kupyansk from that Western controlled terrorist regime in Kiev. Also, we have RIA Novosti's report that Kiev regime's formations are trying to run away from Kurakhovo, which is, I will argue, is in operational encirclement. Kurakhovo is, of course, southern flank of Pokrovsk sector, and recently Russian forces conducted offensive on Kurakhovo and surrounding areas, and this settlement is partially is disputed now, partially controlled by Russian troops, partially by Kiev regime's formations. And as you can see, dear friends, Russian troops clearly are advancing on Kurakhovo, which was playing significant role, crucial role even, as one of the main logistical hubs for Kiev regime's militaries when it comes to central and southern sectors. And in relatively short time, I guess entire settlement will become under Russian control. Most likely before end of next week, Kurakhovo will be liberated. And right now, according to some sources, Russian troops have fire control, direct fire control on main logistical lines for Kiev regime's garrison in Kurakhovo. Direct artillery, fire control, drone control, obviously. And drones are playing more and more increased role on the battlefield. Lately, Russian forces start introducing to the battlefield more extensively new type of FPV drones with wire with wire guidance. Of course, range of those drones are relatively short, 3 to 5, maybe 7 kilometers, because all of them have these blocks with a wire. But these drones, even though there is a compromise on the range, these drones cannot be influenced by radio electronic warfare systems. And more videos are appearing on internet when Russian troops are targeting Kiev regime's armored groups with these wire-guided FPV drones. And picture is clearly, I mean, it's high quality, definitely higher quality than ordinary FPV drones that quite often experiencing some difficulties due to work of radio electronic warfare. All of them probably notice these changes that is taking place. Also, dear friends, Vzгляд newspaper is reporting that Kiev regime declared their mandatory evacuation from Velika and Novoselovka and dozens of surrounding settlements. Let me show you on the map this area. This is South Donetsk sector of the front line, where Russian troops obviously are very active, especially last several weeks, and achieve significant sectoral scale progress. And now Russian troops are closing in to Velika and Novoselovka, which is here, by the way. This relatively large town is Velika and Novoselovka, and this town itself and all the surrounding settlements are now under mandatory evacuation. I can give you some names of those settlements. 16 settlements overall are under mandatory evacuation in this area. Among them, some settlements already been liberated by Russian troops, but Kiev regime is still not acknowledging this, so they put those settlements in this list also. Let's go through it. So Великая Новоселовка, Андреевка, Богатырь, Времевка, Зеленый Кутер, Золотая Нива, Константинополь, Новый Камар, Новоукраинка, Отрадная, Алексеевка, Петропавловка, Разлива, Славянка, Улакли, Shevchenko and Shevchenko are under mandatory evacuation. I guess there are many locals in the settlements that are still under control of Kiev regime will try to hide somewhere, because if they did not evacuate until now, most likely they don't want to be evacuated. They are waiting for Russian liberators. And well, if they are successful to hide somewhere in a safe place, then it will not take long before Russian troops will liberate them from this Western-controlled terrorist regime, Nazi and terrorist regime in Kiev. Also, by the way, RT is reporting that Kiev regime is denying basically any plans to create a nuclear bomb, as it was reported by UK media, the Times media outlet. I spoke about this article in Times yesterday quite extensively. I don't think there is any need to repeat myself, but I think that article in Times definitely was a part of nuclear blackmail, not just against Russia, but against Trump and his campaign, because seems like a Western ruling class, deep state in US intelligence community is trying to threaten, kind of blackmail Trump and his inner circle, that if they will stop military aid or financial aid to Kiev regime, then Zelensky and his associates may turn to a nuclear weapon, and that may create even bigger threats. Seems like that's the game plan of the Western ruling class in this regard. I don't know how it will affect Trump's policies. We will find out soon. But when it comes to this particular article on RT, it's about denial of foreign ministry of Kyiv regime that Kyiv is working on any nuclear development of any nuclear weapon. What else they gonna say? Obviously, what else they're not gonna say openly, isn't it? That yes, we are now blackmailing everybody, and if you don't, under orders of our Western bosses from Langley or Washington or London, right? They're not gonna say that, isn't it? They're gonna deny everything. Anyways, I mean, for more detail, by the way, Ukraine's foreign ministry spokesman, Georgy Tichy, has dismissed claims that the country could seek nuclear weapon. In a statement on Wednesday, he stressed that Ukraine is committed to their NPT, referring to a 1968 treaty on the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. We do not possess, develop, or intend to acquire nuclear weapons. Ukraine works closely with their IAEA, which is also controlled by CIA, by the way, this International Atomic Energy Agency. And of course, they're not going to say nothing if they will even monitor, observe in real life that Kyiv regime is working with some radioactive materials. They're not going to say nothing, right? Because they're controlled by the West, by the CIA, Western Secret Services. So yes, they are denying it, but I don't trust even a single word that comes out from Kyiv regime, obviously. And I'm quite sure Moscow, in any case, Moscow will take these developments immensely seriously, as it should. And if there will be any real 100% threat that Kyiv regime is about to create a nuclear bomb, atomic bomb, or deploy atomic bomb, probably some drastic measures will be taken to minimize or completely neutralize any possible risks to Russian Federation and the citizens of Russian Federation. Let's continue with some more news. Vzhlyad newspaper is reporting that Russian Marines destroyed yet another British Challenger 2 tanker in a Kursk salient area, where counter-terrorist operation is underway, and more territories have been liberated from this invading force of the Kyiv regime and the NATO mercenaries. And on my Telegram, by the way, yesterday or day before, I shared video about, I believe, destruction of this very Challenger 2 tank that Vzhlyad newspaper is reporting about. Or maybe some more Challengers have been destroyed. But anyways, if you are not a member of our community on Telegram, please consider to subscribe quite often. On daily basis, basically, I'm updating channel with dozens of news. And as I said yesterday or day before, I published video when Russian FPV drone is targeting Challenger 2, and you can clearly see it's a Challenger 2. By the way, you cannot mistake this tank for any other. So Russian drone was targeting Challenger 2 in the most vulnerable point in the frontal armor, which is this driver's position, mechanic's position. Armor is most weak there. And the drone operator was clearly professional because he directed his drone on this, we call it a Kupyansk in this most weak point on the Challengers. Anyways, let's continue. Kursk salient and the zone of special military operation they will definitely become a graveyard for Western military equipment, isn't it? Not just our main battle tanks that NATO member states are producing, like Abrams or Leopards or Challengers, but also for all sorts of infantry fighting vehicles and other military equipment that NATO countries have in their stockpiles and in their armed forces. Anyways, let's continue. RT is reporting that Trump names RFK Jr. to cabinet position, and this is a big deal, I believe. So US President-elect Donald Trump will nominate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be his Secretary of Health and Human Services, declaring that their former Democrat will ensure that everybody will be protected from the harmful chemical pollution, chemicals and pollutants. Trump announced his choice in a social media post on Thursday evening. Far too long, Americans have been crushed by their industrial food complex and the drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. He wrote, NHS will play a big role in helping ensure that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to the overwhelming health crisis in the country. He continued that Mr. Kennedy will restore these agencies to their traditions of gold standard scientific research to make America great and healthy again. Okay, this is of course a big deal. Neolibs, deep state, neocons, and all the other groups, powerful groups in the US already are going crazy due to certain peaks of Trump for his next administration, and they're not going to be happy with this peak also, of course. And by the way, markets are reacting. Markets already are reacting, and a number of pharmaceutical companies are losing big time. Their shares are plummeting. At least that's the reports that I see this morning in the media. And probably food giants in US that are producing goods with the use of chemicals, substances that are banned almost all around the world, those companies gonna endure big hit also, I guess. So if you had any investments in these businesses, pull your investments out before it's not too late. Although no, don't. I'm not an expert in finances, by the way. Don't take no advice from me on that topic. But if I had investments in these businesses, man, I would definitely pull out from there. Because if Trump is serious, and seems like he is serious, because JFK Jr. was always serious on these topics, then well, some significant changes is about to happen in US in a good way, by the way, in a positive way, because as I said, in the food industry, for example, there are many chemicals that are banned all around the world, here in Russia, in Europe, or elsewhere. But for whatever reason, actively used in US, nothing to be said about GMO, which is also banned in a significant number of countries worldwide, including in Russia, but allowed in US. And what about health industry? Or what about influence of pharmaceutical companies on what is the NHS, by the way, in the US, when this prescription drugs, by the way, antidepressants and that kind of stuff is given to people from young ages like it's nothing. What the hell, man? Situation is so bad. As far as I understand, our friends from US can share more information about it, but from what I see and learn, I mean, if someone goes to doctor and says, he feels like little frustrated or something, and little tired maybe, doctors are straight away giving them prescription drugs, very powerful prescription drugs. In some cases, it's sedatives. In some cases, like all these antidepressants and this and that, and then people are struggling to get rid of those, get rid of dependency on these tablets, by the way, on this medicine, which is crime. I mean, in US, clearly crime is committed against the citizens of this country. So it will be great for ordinary people like us if RFK Jr. will deal with this issue, and if food industry and drugs industry will be kept in check, which is clearly necessary, by the way, which is clearly necessary. Here, if you, I mean, we all have good days and bad days, and one day you may feel good. Another day you may be a little depressed, but it's okay, man. We are not running to psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever their profession is to start talk about about this life and how depressed we are. We don't do that kind of stuff, man. We have a friend, sir. We can, if we have to get rid of some steam, we are talk to our friends, so we can get rid of that steam, right? We are not taking no fucking sorry for my French, drugs, by the way, to deal with depressions. We don't even have a time for depression. Wait, what depression, man? And in the West, especially in US, it is enough if you feel like little frustrated, little sad, and straight away some extremely strong drugs are given to people that then they become dependent on and cannot get rid of. And if you remember, by the way, just recently, a couple of years ago, famous Canadian psychiatrist Peterson tried to get rid of some, to stop taking some drugs. And he felt so bad, by the way, so bad he almost died. He came to Russia for treatment. I was a bit surprised that from Canada, he could not find a health care facility in Canada that will help him to deal with the issues, or in US or in Western Europe. He came to Russia, and whatever procedure he undergo here seems like it worked because he's in a good shape right now, right? And but it was immensely difficult and stressful for him to get rid of this dependence that organism has on these drugs after you are taking them for a certain period of time. So this is a big deal. And by the way, as time goes by, it seems like Trump and his administration is more and more, looks like one that US already had, that pissed just about everybody in the country, from intelligence services to Pentagon to political class. And I'm talking about, of course, administration of their uncle of JFK Jr., former US president, Kennedy, John Kennedy, who was assassinated, obviously. If these guys, if Trump and his administration will continue this way, they should definitely take care of their security big time. Because they're going to come under heavy attack, by the way, from all sides inside US, and in some cases probably even from outside of US, because take a look at the elites, so-called elites in Europe, by the way. They are going crazy, especially these neo-libs and that kind of stuff, globalists and their puppets. They are going crazy, by the way, now. Anyways, let's continue. RT is reporting that Musk secretly met with Iran's UN envoy, which is great if true. So US President-elect Donald Trump's close ally and future member of the Trump's administration also, tech billionaire Elon Musk, met with the Iranian ambassador to the UN earlier this week. The New York Times reported on Thursday, citing two unnamed Iranian officials. According to the New York Times, Musk's meeting with Amir Said Iravani took place in New York on Monday and was described by the papers Iranian sources as an attempt to diffuse tension between the US and Iran. The conversation was a positive and a good news, Iranian sources said, and it is good, by the way. Obviously, it is good. Elon Musk, of course, had a meeting. If, yet again, we are living in such times that you cannot take no news without a critical view on it. Everything we see in the media should be taken with a pinch of salt, including this report from New York Times. But if this is not a fake news from US media, if this meeting really took place, In that case, of course, Elon Musk was acting not alone, but on behalf of future president of US, right? President-elect Donald Trump. And in that case, of course, this meeting can be seen only as a positive stuff. If that may give us some hope or optimism that maybe during the Trump's administration, US will pay little more attention to diplomacy and will be less aggressive on the world stage, maybe, which will benefit not just the US but also the entire world, because we are talking about major nuclear superpower with their immense economical, financial, political influence, right? So I don't know. I like this news, by the way. If Trump's administration will really pay more attention to diplomatic resolutions or diplomatic solutions, then that's gonna be great for everybody. I mean, for everybody. So well done in this particular case, because I'm afraid, by the way, Western ruling class will try its best to provoke regional war in the Middle East, to shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait and cut off China from Middle Eastern energy. And if Trump will pay and his administration will pay more attention to diplomacy, then Western ruling class will fail in that case, which will be beneficial for entire world, right, including US. RT is reporting that French prosecutors want Le Pen jailed for 5 years. What a surprise. Nowadays, in the collective West, it is becoming a norm when political opponents are prosecuted, and often some nonsensical reasoning and explanations are given, and this is not any different situation in my personal opinion. French prosecutors have asked a judge to slap former National Rally Party leader Marine Le Pen with a 5-year prison term and ban from running for public office in embezzlement case. Le Pen and the 24 other current and former members of the right-wing National Rally are accused of using 3 million euros or $3.3 million in European Parliament money intended for payments to parliamentary assistance to fund work on internal party businesses from 2004 to 2016 in violation of EU law. All of the defendants have denied any wrongdoing, and yet again, dear friends, I don't believe in a French prosecutor's office for not even a second. This is a clearly political prosecution. Marine Le Pen and other members of her party, especially in European Parliament, I don't think they were in a position to do some machinations to take some money from European Parliament. They have enough money, by the way, on their own. So right now, probably, if you remember, just recently, YouTuber or TikToker from Cyprus, by the way, that get elected from Cyprus in European Parliament, that person made a video, and many of you probably see, about significant funds that are allocated for each MP, each MEP, member of European Parliament, on monthly basis, to just not just as a allowance that they are receiving every month, but also there are significant funds to invite some people in Parliament to do some to work, basically, to do this and that and promote some ideas. And probably these members of this party were doing exactly the same. They were using all these funds that EU Parliament is allocating itself for to invite some guests or to do this and that. And now, after that, probably maybe that video of that blogger from Cyprus plays some role in that. I don't know. Now, European Parliament bureaucracy is not happy that this misuse of funds become public knowledge. They want to make some changes, and the French prosecution is using this to basically hammer down these politicians that they don't like. That's what is happening, because I don't think anybody from Le Pen's party take this money for some personal use. No, they don't need that, right? And probably all of them are millionaires, by the way. Who would care about some pennies from European Parliament? Come on now. This is a clearly political prosecution, and it's becoming a norm in a collective West. Share your opinion, dear friends, but it seems to me that it is becoming a norm when political opponents are prosecuted illegally just because they are political opponents. Political prosecution is becoming a norm, and not just political prosecution of the politicians, but also journalists, public figures, just about everybody that is not in line with their main directives or main agendas that globalists are pushing. That's what is happening, really. It is sad, by the way, but this downfall of collective West countries, collective West in general, is gaining speed, gaining momentum, isn't it? It's too visible. It's too visible, Something that could not be even imagined, like even 20, 30 years ago, is becoming norm right now for collective West, which is, not good, right? Zglad newspaper is reporting that European Parliament, again, news from European Parliament is calling to shut down La Manche for Russian tankers, that will carry Russian oil. Well, good luck with that. Good luck with that, man. These people probably don't even know all the maritime laws that are in place, right? You cannot shut down no strait, no maritime route to nobody if you are not declaring war. If you are declaring war, then that's a whole different story, and different rules are then in play. But right now, this La Manche, this waterway, by the way, between France and UK, of course, cannot be shut down for Russian vessels or for the tankers that are carrying Russian oil. It's just cannot be done. And if NATO or EU will try to do it, that may be big step towards all-out war with Russia, and I don't think they really want it. I don't think EU bureaucracy, NATO bureaucracy, Western ruling class is that suicidal. I don't think so. This is just yet another attempt from members of European Parliament to demonstrate how Russophobic and anti-Russian they are. That's all. There are not going to be no concrete steps in this direction, but the information itself is quite telling, isn't it? Right now, by the way, RIA Novosti is reporting as breaking news that according to pro-Russian underground, there was a very powerful strike, long-range precise strike on point of concentration of Kiev regime's forces in a Sumy region. Let's see if there is any details on that. Kiev regime might lost more than 100 military personnel as a result of this precise strike. This is developing story. This was reported right now. Of course, all the updates in next, all the additional news in the next update. And your friends, few more news, and I will end this video on that. RIA Novosti is reporting that, main buyers of the Russian gas this year are France, Hungary, and Spain, from EU, which is quite interesting, isn't it? Which is quite interesting. Let's translate this news, by the way, for a little more detailed information. Of course, volumes of gas that Russia is exporting to EU member states is significantly less than it was prior to, all these sanction wars and stuff. begun, but still Russia plays a serious role when it comes to energy supplies for EU. Let's go through this news now. And among the EU countries, France, Hungary, and Spain buy the most Russian gas. They accounted for more than half of all imports from Russia, according to calculations by RIA Novosti, according to Eurostat data for the first 8 months of this year. So from January to August 2024, Russia supplied the EU with a gas worth 9 billion euros. Not that much, obviously. As I said, overall volumes of export of Russian gas in EU is significantly lower than it was before collective Western class provoked this proxy war against Russia and before sanction wars began. But still, 9 billion euro is something, right? And pipeline gas again became the main export. It accounted for 4.6 billion euros, and LNG, liquefied natural gas, was sold to European states for 4.4 billion euro. The main buyer of their fuel was France, which increased imports from Russia by 30% to 1.9 billion euros. Hungary also dropped to a second place as it reduced their purchases by almost a third to 1.6 billion euros. Spain came in a third place with imports of 1.4 billion euros. Other major buyers include Italy, 1.3 billion euro, Greece, 919 million euro, Slovakia, 800 million, and Belgium, 709 million. Well, quite interesting numbers here, Even though, as I said, overall volume is decreasing of Russian gas exports to EU, Russian gas still presented there, by the way. Russian energy still presented there, and Russia is still making billions, maybe not tens of billions, but still billions. And when it comes to these volumes of gas that no longer is exported to Europe, very same gas, by the way, now directed to Asian markets, and Russia is making even more money there, right? So if anyone is losing big time in all this situation is European economies that are forced to basically, instead of relatively cheap Russian pipeline gas, buy LNG on the world market and pay significantly more. And also this news, dear friends, that according to Russian scientists, they find after studies they find out that 5G actually is influencing some brain tissues. If you remember, when this 5G was started to be implemented worldwide, there was so many rumors, so many statements how dangerous 5G is or not, and that's why I want to share with you this news, sir. So 5G antenna radiation caused changes in the ratio of antioxidants and pro-oxidants in the brain tissues of laboratory rats, as scientists from Tomsk State University found. According to RIA Novosti, scientists from Tomsk, this is in Russia, by the way, Tomsk State University conducted studies on the effect of 5G antenna on the Vista rats, which have a similar reaction to humans to various exposures. During the experiment, which lasted 5 weeks, it was found that radiation does not cause pain, fear, or stress in animals. However, a significant change in the ratio of antioxidants and pro-oxidants in brain tissues was found. A leading researcher of the Laboratory of Experimental Psychology of the TCU Research Institute of Biology and Biophysics, Natalia Krivova, noted that the result of the study showed that more of the study's indicators in animals showed that none of their studied indicators in animals exposed to their 5G antenna did not differ from those in rats from the control groups. However, more detailed study of rat brain tissue after exposure to the 5G antenna revealed a significant change in the ratio of these antioxidants and the pro-oxidants. Scientists cannot say right now exactly what consequences their identified changes will lead to, whether new abilities may appear or whether any of their existing ones will be lost, or whether the body will be able to compensate for these violations. They consider it necessary to continue research. If funding is found, it is a plan to conduct a series of experiments with the female rats and study the effect of 5G on their offspring of irradiated parents. So, well, yet again, I'm not, biologist. Obviously, I have no idea what these changes in this. What is the name of that oxidants? I mean, antioxidants and pro-oxidants means even. But there are some changes, by the way. So this 5G antenna radiation clearly did provoke some changes in a brain tissue of the rats. Scientists in Russia that were conducting these experiments don't know yet, is it any dangerous or not dangerous? Will body or will be able to compensate with the other ways for these changes? How harmful or not harmful this is it. More studies are needed, but whoever was saying a year or 2 years ago that 5G has no influence on our brains or living organisms whatsoever, they were clearly wrong. 5G antenna definitely influences some changes, provokes some changes, although at this point, of course, no Russian scientists and not me are saying that these changes are fatal or anything. We just don't know. But some changes clearly is noticeable in that experiment. So with this news, by the way, I will end this update. And hopefully you will find it interesting, informative, useful. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything, any topic, and if you can, please share information about my channel with your friends on internet or in a real life. That might help to reach wider audience, obviously. Especially of course, likes and comments. For example, yesterday YouTube's algorithm clearly did not like my video and it was suppressed big time. Maybe similar will happen to this video, I don't know. But only way we can influence this is likes and comments. And dear friends, if you like my work, if you want to see further development of this project, or at least this project to continue to exist on this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with a donation through PayPal or Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page and page on Boosty. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a wonderful, great day, and take care.